And then we started up again with Florence. We were doing sheds in the US. And it had been a while since I did a shed tour. It wasn't until like, I think 2010 with Creed. So I was excited about that because like on my end of it, it's easy. You know, it doesn't get any easier than doing a shed tour, at least in my opinion. So we did that. And then we kind of did this like weekend warrior thing in Europe, okay? Like I'd fly over to Europe and we'd do like 2 or 3 shows and I'd fly back home and then like 10 days later fly over and do it again, you know, doing festivals, you know, and whatnot. And then the Peppers decided to do some shows, right? So it was kind of crazy because like I do shows in the UK or in Europe with Florence, and then I'd like go from there to Dubai. We'd do a Pepper show in Dubai, and then I'd come home and then like go to there, and then, God, where else? We did a couple in Japan, we did Singapore, we did Rock in Rio, but I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. And then for me, the Florence thing ended, and then it was just like the Peppers kind of one-offs, if you will. And then this would have been end of September, beginning of October, right? So we
of what year?
Of 2019. So we're into 2019, sorry. So we finished up with Peppers, we did Rock in Rio, and I flew back to LA with the production manager, and then he had got this gig where this band BABYMETAL from Japan, which we had as a support act on the previous, the tour in 2017 in the US with Peppers, they supported, right? And wonderful people, and we got to know their like, kind of Nora, right? They're kind of like translator, but she was like more than that. She like helped a lot in like day-to-day management and whatnot, just like really busted her ass, really good at her job. So between her and whatnot, got with my boss and was like, look, they want to do a show at the Forum in Los Angeles, but it's not just going to be a show, but it's going to be a video shoot as well, right? And we need you guys to help us build it and put it together to do it. So my boss took it on. So we flew from Rio back to LA. I had like half a day off. I went to where they were building everything. I checked on that. And then we loaded in this arena that's kind of out in the IE, which is the Inland Empire. If you know you're from the LA area, you know that. Oh, God, where is it? It's out by Ontario, by the airport or whatever. But it's a newer arena, right? A smaller one, right? So we loaded in there and we like built the show for 2 days and tweaked it and prepped it, then loaded out and then loaded into the Forum a day early and built it and got it all ready to go and then did the show in the Forum for this big video shoot, right? So that came with its own set of problems. And again, there's a little bit of a language barrier there. It's like, you know, they're thinking they're getting something and we're thinking that's not what we're thinking. We're thinking you wanted this. So whatever, there was and again, it's always like, there's a budget, right? Like we want this. Well, this costs this. Well, we only got this to spend. So now we got to figure out how we can get this, but not for the money, right? So there's a lot of going back and forth and whatnot and give and take and compromise. But in the end, I mean, I haven't seen what it looked like. I thought it looked great for the show. I thought it came off really well, but I don't know. I don't know what they did with it, if they used it or they didn't use it, right? Because really, once it's done and I walk out of the building after the trucks are loaded, I'm over it, right? So in this case, I walk out, I don't know what it is, October something or whatever. And like, you know, me and the production manager and our freight guy and like walking out the tunnel at the Forum and up and, you know, I'm flying home the next day and they're all going home. They live in the LA area. And, you know, that was it for quite a while because I went home. I knew the Peppers thing was probably, again, I didn't know the changes that were going to happen. Like come to find out in December, I think of that year, like Josh was out as guitar player and John was back in, you know, and again, that's their business, not mine. I'm glad they call me up and I go to work for them, but you know what? That's between y'all. So I'm like kind of hearing to begin January or whatever, February, like, okay, we're probably going to do something maybe starting in March, right? Oh, great.
This is 20?
It's 2020,
yeah.
Right? So, we're going to start probably in March. No, I'm all right. I just I'm old and my ass hurts. It's okay. I'm close to being done, right? As long as I ain't fucking the shot up, I'm good.
no.
So I come home, and in the fall in October, my wife and I go up to Maine because we like to go up there, you know, and we're whatever, spending some money and doing vacation, and come back home, and we go out to Arkansas. My mother-in-law lives in Arkansas, and my wife and myself and her brother and niece, and we go out to see her and drive out and come back and whatever, you know, and kind of doing stuff and this and that. My son decided to move from where he lived to another house with his then girlfriend, so I helped him do that in February, beginning of February. But like, I remember my friend, the freight agent, was in Lidditz, PA at Tate Towers building. He was there because Billie Eilish was there building her show to go out and tour. And he does their freight. So he's like, hey, I'm down at Lidditz, and I'm what am I, 3 hours from whatever. So I'm like, hey, come see. I rent a car, I come down and see him, and like, I'm like reading in the paper a little bit about, oh, there's this virus and people are getting sick and all this stuff. And I just was like, you know, this is a bad thing. This is really gonna fuck with us. I just had this feeling, right? I mean, it's easy to go, yeah, whatever. You're just saying that now, it's 2023, but whatever. At the time I did. And I even said to him, like, you know what? I go, I don't think this thing's gonna go, mate. Like, I think we're getting shut down. He's like, whatever, yeah. So I see him, I go home, continues to get worse, right? Now, I haven't been employed, right? And I lost my employment. I didn't quit or get fired. And I didn't take unemployment because, like, I knew I was going back to work. And so many times in my life, man, I've been so happy it's been there. It's like, I don't know, maybe it sounds stupid, but I don't want to abuse it. And if somebody else needs it, great. Right now, I don't. Thankfully, I made enough money, whatever. I know I'm going back to work. So I hadn't taken unemployment, right? So we're into March, and what is it? I think it was Monday, March 12th, or maybe I'm getting the dates wrong, right? But Pearl Jam were going to get ready to tour, and they were going to do their production rehearsals in Albany, New York, right? And the old guitar player for the Peppers, Josh, well, he's a touring member of Pearl Jam when they play live, okay? So he's going to be there, his guitar tech, friend of mine. I'm like, you know what, man, it would be a great little family thing. We'll go up. It was going to be me and my wife and my son at the time. It's like, you know what, we'll go up and see Ian and Josh, hang out for a night. And like, I remember Ian calling like, mate, we ain't going to be there, right? And I think it was like, I don't know, Sunday night or whatever, but I remember it being Monday, and I was home, and I was like, you know what, I'm filing for unemployment because I just, you know, and then sure enough, by like whatever Thursday, we were shut down.
So have you ever filed before?
I have, but I hadn't filed in a long time because, you know, good Lord willing and the creek didn't rise, I didn't need it, right? I was going from like one to another to another. I mean, yeah, I was, you know, there's been times in my life when it's been, I'm so glad I had it, right? That was always the thing, right? Because a lot of people either work as their own business and send invoices in, or they get 1099, but I was always adamant about getting W-2'd because I'm like, look, man, I got a wife, like unemployment is a big deal to me. Like if I'm not working and like, you know, the tour's done and I can't get work or whatever, it's a big fucking deal, right? So, boring story short, you know, that was March of 2020, and things didn't really start up again until like September of 21. You know, it was, you know, and then for me, I didn't go back to work until March 27th of 22. So there you go. You know, we took a big old long hiatus for good or for bad. So gratefully, I went back to work March 27th of last year, and I'm still working now, and I hope to continue working, but who the hell knows? So that kind of completes the chronological, I don't know what the fuck you want to call it.
Yeah.
But whatever. So what do you want to do? Questions?
Yeah, I mean, what's it like to be that busy, going from gig to gig to gig, and then have this COVID thing happen? What, do you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, we can talk about it because it definitely fucked with me.
Yeah.
It fucked with me hard, right? Like, I mean, I developed pretty good depression, you know, and I didn't really know what it was at the time. Like I got like, you know, whatever, I'd been home for a little while, right? So I was thinking I'm going back to work in March, and then I don't, and then it's like, oh, I don't know when the fuck I'm gonna go back to work. But I kind of remember it was like towards the, I want to say the end of July or maybe into August, it was still nice out. It was like, I can't get out of this chair. Not because I physically can't get out, it's just my mind will not let me get out of this chair and do anything. Like what, and I'm like having this internal conversation with myself, right? It's like, what in the hell is wrong with me? Because I'm always, you know, gotta go, gotta fix this. I mean, to the best of my ability. My wife would probably disagree with me, but you know, whatever. It's my story, damn it. And I didn't know what it was. And it really was fucking with me hard, right? So whatever, I kind of got through it, and then I was doing projects around the house and whatnot, and, you know, and like everybody, just staying the fuck home because we didn't have a choice, right? It's like shit shut down, you're home. But then I really started to do like, you know, look inside, if you will. You know, and I'm like, God damn, I really haven't stopped. Like I have, like, I mean, 2009 wasn't a good year for work. I was home way more than I wanted to be, right? But I don't know. It wasn't like, I don't know how to explain it, Alan. Like I was home, like, but it didn't affect me, right? Like I was doing this and doing that and doing something else. And you know, there was a lot of people home because that came out of the whole, like, all the shit crashed in 08, right? And like, there was a lot of people unemployed in 09 and whatnot. It wasn't just me, you know, but this was different for some reason. So I started like thinking, and I'm like, you know, Jesus, I started going to swim camp in the summers in 1974 when I was 11 years old, turned 11 in 74 in July.
When you say swim camp, what does that mean?
Well, what it was is for all you who don't know, I started to be a competitive swimmer on the swim team in Ithaca, New York, the Ithaca Aquatics Club, or it wasn't even that yet, it was the Ithaca YMCA. So I started swimming competitively, and I was pretty good at it. So the swim coach of Cornell University at that time, Bill Barton, had a swim camp over the summer, all right? So my dad was like, well, we're gonna send you to swim camp, you know, so that'll help you out. Now, mind you, I only lived less than 20 miles away from Cornell University, so it wasn't like I was like going hundreds of miles away from home, right? But still, you stayed at swim camp. So I got out of whatever grade I was in, I think I was home a week, and I was at swim camp, and I stayed at swim camp the whole summer until whatever, and I think I had like a week at the end, and I went back to grade school.
So how long did that continue in terms of your
74, 75, 76, 77, different coaches, because Bill left and another coach, another gentleman by the name of Jim Perkins, who his wife was on the news. She did the newscast in Salt Lake City for many years. Kimberly, that was his wife for a while. I think they split up. I know they split up. So at any rate, different coach, still swim camp, right? So let's see, 74, 75, 76, 77.
So how old are you? Give me an age.
In 77, I turned 14, right? But the fall of 77, I started attending Christian Brothers Academy in Syracuse, New York. Well, now I'm like, 90 miles away from home. And I lived with different families during the week so I could stay up there to go to school because, you know, one, I kind of got recruited a little bit because I was good enough. Because the coach at the time, this guy John Leonard, coached a really, really good swim team out of Syracuse called the Syracuse Chargers, right? I think they were under the Parks and Recreation banner or whatever, city of Syracuse. But so he coached Christian Brothers Academy, you know, hey, come up here, right, whatever. And then my dad's niece, her husband was the athletic director, so there was like a tie-in, right? So whatever, I went up there and started staying and going to school up there for swimming, all right? So that would have been the fall of 77. And then I really didn't come home. Like, I came home on weekends, right? But I finished my 9th grade year in the spring of 78, and I stayed with the family the entire summer, right? To swim on the swim team. It was what, the Onondaga Natadors or OCC Natadors or whatever. There was a swim team there. at the community college, based at the at Onondaga Community College pool. But then I also became a lifeguard. So I was working as a lifeguard during the day and then swimming at night and all this stuff. So I stayed with a family, and then I started my 10th grade year with the same family, right? And then that didn't work out, so I started living with another family, finished 10th grade, and then I came home for the summer of 10th grade and went to swim camp at Cornell with Jim Perkins. So again, I'm not home. Go to swim camp in Ithaca, go back to Christian Brothers Academy, right? When am I starting now? My junior year, 11th grade. Do 11th grade, and again, swimming up there, staying with the family, right? And then the summer of the following year, so that would have been what? The summer of 1980?
80.
Yeah, summer of 80. I actually go and I stay in Cortland, New York, and swim on the YMCA team there. They're a real good team, got a real good coach. And so at this one, the assistant coach or the coach at the time or whatever was like I met him back in Ithaca when he was in college. He's since graduated. I think he's like in grad school or whatever, but he's coaching. So he basically had a room in a fraternity house there at Cortland State over the summer. And I slept on the floor in his room, and where it was like eating out of like a hot plate or whatever, right? I mean, whatever, I was happy to do it. I didn't, and it's like, yeah, whatever, you're going swimming, and don't get me wrong, I got in a shitload of trouble as well, okay? So I was pretty happy about it, if I'm honest, but whatever, swimming there. So now I'm doing my senior year in Syracuse, right? Go back to Syracuse to Christian Brothers Academy, and I stay there through that. I graduate by like the skin of my balls, and I go to Boston to live with my girlfriend at the time.
So your point was you really didn't stop.
No. 9th grade, when I went to Syracuse to start school, that's really when I moved out of the house, right? I'd be back for weekends or holidays, but I mean, for no extended period of time, all right? And I was fucking young and whatever, fuck you. I had a car, I'm going to Boston, and then I went to university my first year, so the fall of 81 at Plattsburgh State University, or New York State University at Plattsburgh in Plattsburgh, New York. If you want to hear about why I chose Plattsburgh, it's because I watched the Johnny Carson episode, and it said it was like the 4th best place in the United States to be on St. Patrick's Day. So it was known as a party school, right? Bars stayed open till 5 a.m. I didn't really go there for academics, let's just be honest, all right? God bless, my parents are both gone, they don't have to hear this. So after going there for 2 semesters, they informed me that, I think I said this earlier, but I'll say it again, your grade point average, it's not like a golf game where the lowest score wins, okay? You don't want that, right? So you gotta go, you're done here. So I got shown the door, and I went home to Spencer for that summer. So that would be the one that I kind of moved back to Spencer in the summer of 82. And I mowed lawns in the cemetery for my dad, who had retired from Tioga County Highway Department and took over the job in the cemetery, as the sexton, I think they called it, right? So like when you need to get a burial, he'd have the guy come in with a backhoe, here's where we're gonna put him, whatever. Mow the lawns, make it all look nice, blah, blah, blah. So I was working for him in the cemetery and staying at their house. So that was really, I came back home for then, and then I went to Tompkins Cortland Community College in Dryden, New York to try to salvage my college career. And I had an apartment in Dryden, New York with 2 other guys, and I reconnected with a really old friend of mine from my youth who played guitar and was really good at it, and he was just getting into this band called Centaur out of Cortland, New York. So that's when I started, right? Because I kind of like came into that with him. So they had like a 24-foot truck full of gear, they had a proper PA and a proper light show, and they had a 3-man crew. And like I forced my way in with him because I wanted to do it so friggin' badly. This is what I want to do, finally, right? And so as I said before, it's like 4 people on the bench seat of an old Ford, and they were not happy. They were pretty pissed. I was not popular, right? But I don't even think it was 2 weeks in, the lighting guy leaves. So now it's back to 3, and now I'm the lighting guy. And, you know, it's been going since then, you know?
Well, I kind of sidetracked you, and because you were talking about COVID, and you were talking about that experience in your life where you go, and suddenly now, that thing, I wouldn't call it chasing, the thing that preoccupied you is now gone.
Yeah.
So now you've got to live within yourself,
Yeah.
and that sounds like that really was hard.
Well, it was, I mean, you know, and I had mentioned this to you, and I don't know if I mentioned it earlier and you know, yakking here, but it's like I always felt like I was like 2 months ahead, right? Like what am I gonna, not what I'm doing now, so what's going on 2 months down the road? Do I have a gig? Where am I gonna be? What am I doing? And that all went away, right? And now it's like, as you say, it's like it's a day-to-day, I'm looking inside myself like, whoa, I don't know if I like this, right? Because I didn't have to, right? And it wasn't, I mean, it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't good. And then I went through a bunch of like, you know, physical problems, right? Like, arthritis got worse, and like, what do they call it? Spinal stenosis or whatever, like.
Talk about that. Talk about the issues that you have.
Well, it's like, what I have is I have this arthritis that eats my cartilage, right? I inherited it from my dad, okay? So that's why I had to get my hip replaced, because all the cartilage was gone. It was bone on bone, right? I really need to, that's my left one. I really need to get my right one replaced because it's similar. My right knee is shot. My meniscus is all torn and everything. My left knee is not great. And I get it. I'm a fat cunt. I need to lose weight. There's no doubt about it. But it's difficult to like try to do any kind of exercise when you can't walk. Like, it's like all I can do to go do my job. And then like on days off, I just sit because it just hurts too fucking bad, you know? And I mean, it's not me. There's plenty of people out there that do that, you know? It's not that like my mind and my heart don't want to do the job. I do, you know? And I'm very grateful to work for a band, because I had to say to them when they called me up to go back to work, it's like, I can't do what I did before. I can't physically do it. So I'm sorry. And they basically created a position for me, because they're like, no, we want you out there because we know your work ethic. You're a good problem solver. When you're out there, we feel comfortable, right? And that's always the rule number one. Keep Captain Paycheck happy, all right? That's the rule number one. You know, some people will tell you collect the money. That's what Kim Simmons taught me. But I really kind of went back to, that keeps Captain Paycheck happy. So just keep Captain Paycheck happy and you'll be okay. So thankfully I have a job, because I don't know what I do. I can't really, it's not that I can't stage manage. It's just that when I'm stage managing, I'm walking like 12 to 15 miles a day, and I can't do that anymore. Like, I would struggle to get through one day and I couldn't walk the next. So if you're doing back-to-backs, you can't work. You can't do that because you got everybody relying on you. You know, you're the guy on the floor kind of running things, right? And if you can't do that, it kind of all comes apart. So, you know, going forward, I don't know. But yeah, there was a lot of like, holy shit, what's wrong with me? And then I had like, you know, the mental thing and whatnot. So it's yeah, I don't know.
So what's your title now?
I am known as the backline crew chief. I am the guy that like I would normally hate when I was a stage manager, right? Because I'd be like, oh, you're like the friend of the band. Like, what the fuck do you do, right? But in my case, that's really not the case, but I had to laugh a little bit. No, I make sure that like, you know, the backline guys, the bass tech, guitar tech, drum tech, like all their cases are there. I help set stuff up. I make sure there's labor. I make sure they get taken away. Like, I really try to help the stage manager, because having been a stage manager myself, like, I don't want him to come up to me and go, what the fuck's going on, right? I want to have it all covered and be able to like call him on the radio early and say, hey, we're done with line check or whatever. You can start putting the support act up, right? Because that's what I would have wanted when I was doing it. So, but no, I'm just super grateful. You know, once again in my life, I've been shown how really good people are, you know? People that like I don't really talk to, you know, because like the band, like we call it a party, right? You know, there's the band and the people that work with them, and then there's us that do our thing, right? And like, yeah, you see them, they come in, they do like a sound check, they do a show, and they go, and we do our thing. So it's not like you hang out a lot, you know? But I'm really grateful.
This one's running out. Maybe it's a good place to take a break.
All right.